Pensado's Place Nashville Gives Thanks is brought to you by Vintage King, Recording Connection, Audio Technica, and Studio 202. We were in beautiful Nashville on a chilly Saturday evening at an incredible recording facility known as Blackbird Studios. Gathered were 18 of country music's best and brightest. They included country superstar Martina McBride, educator, entrepreneur, and engineer John McBride, super producer Dan Huff, songwriter of the year Rodney Clawson, bluegrass chanteuse and proud daughter of Buddy, Melonie Cannon, Kenny Chesney producer and proud dad of Melonie, Buddy Cannon, front of house live and brilliant thinker Brett Scoop Blanden, mixer extraordinaire Justin Niebank, producer and proprietor of Legends Studio Dan Frizsell, producer, programmer, and composer Dave Huff, Dave Pensado mentor and engineer Ed Seay, teacher and editor Kevin Becka, engineer Tony Castle, session whiz John Willis, vocalist and PR executive Stephanie Willis, fierce songwriter advocate and musician Steve Bogard. Our Thanksgiving meal was prepared by one of Nashville's premier eateries, Flight World Dining and Wine, and presented and prepared by Chef Matt Lackey. Dinner was served, a prayer was said, and the conversation began. So, Dave, I know that you have hired Dave to mix a lot of stuff, and a lot of times you're working with female artists. There's something about that you sort of get. Is that fair to say?
Look at your discography. I mean, all the females that you've mixed, you have intuition to make their vocals stand out, and that's I talked to the female artists about that. You need to have somebody that knows how to get that vocal sound. And
hey Justin, it's kind of different working with a great female singer than a male singer when we sit down, isn't it?
It's awesome.
In some ways, you get more
the room
flexibility.
smells a lot better.
Come on, man.
That's true, though.
You're on your best behavior.
And you're on your best. Everyone's on their best behavior.
But you can. It seems like you can kind of do more with a female vocal in the mix stage. I think from the live perspective, it might be the reverse. Is it easier?
I've got some good blends going on, but female vocals cut and all, yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure I'd really put a big line between male or female. I think women should be in the studio way more. I think women have way better ears than men. I think women cut to the chase when they intuitively listen to music more than men. They are way quicker saying, I like this, I don't like that. And guys will overthink things, and women, not that you won't, but you'll make a decision. You like something. I just love that. It's like I love when people have instant responses,
intuitive,
and they commit to it. Women are way quicker to do that.
We do everything with our hearts. That's part of
the greatest.
Women are driven
Tell me what you like.
with their hearts.
Exactly.
And men are driven otherwise.
Yeah. Different places. I got you, man. I got you.
Thanks for cleaning that up.
So, Rodney, let me ask you a question. Is the interpretation of one of your songs different when a female does it? Is there something extra added to that?
No, I mean, just to be straight up honest, I really don't write that many female songs.
I got you.
And my wife writes for Warner Chappell, and she's like blowing up right now as a songwriter, and she handles the female side of our household.
And you got the other side.
I handle the male side.
It's a good system.
But the few female songs that I have cut, I don't think there's really that. When we write the song, we write it in a way that, okay, this is the way it needs to be done, and they either get it or they don't. Like Martina said, I either get it or I don't right now. And
Right, got it.
I just heard a song that I'd never heard a female do recently, and I thought the interpretation of this song was spectacular. It sounds like it should have been
after this dinner.
It should have been a female song.
Yeah, I understand.
Isn't that true, Martina? It's like you're too humble to say it. I'll say it, but If You Don't Know Me By Now, I just heard her version of that, and
Thank you.
oh my gosh,
Great
it
song.
was
Thank you.
it was written for you, and that interpretation kind of prompted this whole discussion for me to start that thread, because that really kind of touched me. There's not a question here anywhere. I'm just
Well, but I have a question based on that. Can you, Martina, as an artist, can you lose yourself in a cover that can it mean the same thing to you as an original?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
it is all about the song, and it's about interpreting the song and relating to the song and singing it in a relatable way. And that song that you're talking about, If You Don't Know Me By Now, what was interesting to me was, that's a great song. I mean, it's a beautiful melody, it's a heartfelt lyric, it's a classic. And so I was all about doing the song, and I really didn't give much thought to the interpretation. I just sang it how I felt it. And then I was listening, to a lot of the covers of that song, because it's been covered a few times, always by men. And I've realized that it was kind of angry. Most of the emotion behind that song and the way it's been interpreted in the past is like, come on,
Right.
get yourself together. I mean, if you don't know me by now, it's sort of
Had attitude. 'Cause-
a little condescending and a little angry, and I didn't think about it, but the way I interpreted it and the way the band played it is really tender, and it's really like, come on,
I'm starting to get nervous here, man.
John, you got a long night ahead of you, buddy.
Last night, Michael McDonald played at Symphony Hall, and he got to tell a Doobie Brothers story about "You Belong to Me," and that was originally a Doobie Brothers
Great
song,
record.
and that he sent it to Carly Simon to write the lyric and sing the vocal, and she sent it back to him.
You're
And
kidding.
he didn't talk to her for 5 years after that. And finally said, "Well, at this point, what do I?"
Maybe I should sing
say?
this.
But he sang it last night at "You Belong to Me," Michael McDonald's way, from a male side.
Yeah.
And I had grown up with listening to it as Carly.
Right.
Are you kidding?
Right.
And it was a whole new song.
Wow.
Whole new song. last night.
Wow.
Game
Wow.
changer.
Wow. And see, that kind of intuition by all of us can
The
make
stories.
game changers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating.
Nashville seems to be the only genre I can think of that actually starts from the song. Rock starts from the guitar, R&B, hip hop starts from the drums, jazz starts from Lord knows what. And one of the unique things about Nashville that makes it difficult for outsiders is because it starts from the song. That's a little different way of thinking, because we usually think about building from the track up, and I think that uniqueness is what's going to make what's coming out of here even bigger than it is now, which is pretty huge. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I'm even though I was raised here, I'm still, I don't know if you're this way, but I always hear the guitar first.
I was just gonna say
so the riff.
I'd rather hear it from the drum first, though. That's what we get along great.
It's added, but no, I mean it truly great songwriting community, and again they kind of draw that into it. So yeah, it's a good balance. I think it's, but I also think that was always the mantra. Even while we were young, I don't think the record making had caught up with that. I think now record making is starting to catch up with it, and so I think there's more of a balance. The country music that I grew up on, again, this is not a judgment. It didn't feed my soul musically, instrumentally.
Yeah.
And so consequently, the records on the coast that were being made, they got my ear. I think what we're doing is balancing that out, and I think we're making records too, and we just happen to be making them in the midst of some of the great wealth of songs in the world.
It almost is like that concept of West Coast envy is fueling a lot of the current world of country music, isn't it?
It is. It's. And some people would, there's always the pros and the cons. Some people would say that's it's making country music indistinguishable from pop music. I just think it's morph.
I think it's evolution.
Evolution.
That's
Right,
what
you can't stop it. It's just going to
Just
be,
good music,
and interesting things come out of that. It moves forward. And there's always the traditionalist versus the non-traditionalist, but you're not going to be able to stop evolution.
No,
There's no way, and nor would you really want to. In some ways.
We don't want to. Some people. It depends who you talk to.
That's how we make a
There's a
living.
few people that maybe would disagree, but overall, the energy you have in this room. So the diversity is really
exciting. you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, great.
And it's a small sandbox. People play pretty nicely and fairly here.
Yeah.
Which is
Amazing.
yeah.
It does not present a lot of
No.
other places.
No, it isn't.
Not mentioning any names.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. The notion of this debate between traditional country and pop country, let's call it that, for instance. Where do people fall in that? I think we touched on it a little bit before, but I see the distinction kind of. I wonder if you can stop evolution. And I know evolution, and I don't mean evolution is always a positive. I'm just saying that things evolve and you kind of can't stop them. Does that concern you guys? Is it just something you got to roll with and change? What's the feeling about that? Nobody wants to say.
I've been singing since I was 14. I've been doing demos, things like that. But I've always made acoustic music, records, bluegrass records, or whatever. And I feel like I don't think I could ever be what they need in mainstream music right now.
It's not you.
No, it's not who I am, and I think it's great. I love the attention. I love that everybody's brought a lot of money to the industry. But it's back to that thing where there's some type of disconnect to our roots, to this music that you're calling country. Those roots aren't there.
So then tell me about the state of bluegrass and where it exists.
Oh, it's the same. It's the same fight. It's the traditional towards the
Is it
progressive.
really?
Oh, absolutely. I'm considered too progressive for bluegrass. So
Are you really?
Yeah. So I'm the person that's somewhere dangling in the
So
middle.
you can't get a
happy.
beat.
That's right. That's why I've been stuck working with him my whole life.
I'll be darned. I'll
But
be
no,
darned.
it's the same fight. I mean, it's back and forth. Yeah.
Well, when radio got deregulated in '97, that changed everything for all of us because it changed how radio worked. It made radio say, we've got a little niche. We know we want women 18 to 34. We're gonna make the kind of music that works for them. We're gonna do classic rock. We want kids who have cigarette packs in their T-shirts. We're gonna make music for them. So that changed everything as far as how we write and how we think. It changed the fact that we're trying to draw people in because radio wants people not to check out. They don't.
Steve, could I add something to that?
Sure.
Because it seems like if you look over the history, popular music has fragmented into 40 different formats.
Yeah.
All right. There's R&B. There's
Yeah.
soul. There's
Urban
pop,
AC, there's all kinds of
AC,
stuff.
hot AC.
Yeah.
Country has always had one station, the country station, until satellite radio. However, up until satellite radio, and it's got Willie's Place and a few of the more classic country, but there's basically one country format, and there's not room for old country, new country, alt country, punk country.
Right.
There's not room for everything to fit on one format. So we've been at a little bit of a disadvantage in that respect too.
But it's all driven by economics. It's all driven by where the dollar.
But we should be requiring real singers still, though. That's my only argument. Martina is a singer.
How
She's
can
a
you do
singer.
that, Melonie? How we all want
Yeah, I
it,
don't
but
think
how
it's
can you do it?
I don't know. I think it's the people in charge. All I have is a mouth. All I can do is sing. It's the ones that actually.
That's great.
He and I don't always
That's
agree
great.
on it. A lot. There are a lot of times that he's like, "Shut your app," But I mean, it's just I agree with the kid of the Grand Ole Opry.
I mean, look at the late 70s, early 80s, string-laden electric cowboy, and then the outlaw movement came in, and all of a sudden now that's considered classic country, but at the time, that was complete rebels, that was
Don't you think
progressive.
It's
How
kinda
dare they
cyclical, right?
do that?
Don't you think it's kind of cyclical?
I hope so.
I can kind of feel something building.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
where, like you said, we always hope.
I'm sorry, Martina.
I just kind of feel like there's something building right now up to a point where somebody's going to come along and change the whole landscape.
Does pop have traditional pop? Does AC have traditional AC? Does R&B have traditional R&B? Well, I guess I do have that.
We have old.
It's like there's good music and bad music. Let's just make good music.
Yeah.
God, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter. I mean,
Exactly.
the thing I like about what's going on now is that is that hopefully it's just going to blow up all the rules and let's just start making great music again. When I was a kid, Charlie Rich was on the radio next to the Rolling Stones, and that's the way it should be now too. Let's
Great point.
forget about all
And
that.
is jazz ever too jazz? And
Yeah.
how can country be too country?
Well,
how can
right.
jazz be?
Along the lines of the deregulation, I think country we really hurt ourselves by establishing this consultant
Yes.
process where we have very few gatekeepers. I'll say it because I don't work for a label and I'm not an artist. There's very few gatekeepers that control what's too country, what's not pop enough, what's too pop. There's a handful of people in this country that control 90% of the stations.
Exactly.
And they are the bottleneck to the awesome music that these guys write every day.
Yeah.
Buddy knows it's made every day in this town. Artists sing it. It's here.
Yeah.
But there is a bottleneck that will not allow the consumer to get it.
Well,
And that's the reality.
when a radio promotion guy will say it needs more steel or that stops the creative process.
Or
Like
less
Jeff said,
steel.
You need
We
to
don't
make
put any
great
steel.
music.
No
Make
steel.
great art. Right.
Or where's
no
the loop?
steel.
We need more hand claps.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Well, if you
that's
look
the
at modern
consultant.
radio and the almighty advertising dollar and what sells advertisements and where they want to spend money, let's use that on the backside and let's let the almighty advertising dollar pay the songwriters for a change. Let's give some real estate on Spotify and these kind of things to the advertisers and let them pay royalties. Let's bust the two-party system. And take and remove the radio bottleneck at the same time.
Let's make a deal. I'm in.
We've broken ground here.
You're right.
Well, if Dave's wanting to start this,
You're
then you're
right.
going to run it.
You are
so,
right.
I said my solution is blow shit up. I'm a good negotiator.
We
That's why I got
changed
this
the
gentleman
U.S.
to my
tax
left.
code. Our little organization of songwriters changed the U.S. tax code with no money. Our entire budget is less than the salaries of the heads of all the organizations you would mention to. Our entire budget. So we changed the tax code. It can be done. Let's do it.
Let me ask you guys something.
We're starting something. I like that.
In a great tradition of asking dumb questions, I'm going to pose this one. We have a system now where we have direct access to the consumer. Anybody can put their video up next to Martina's for free. Are we accessing that power by giving the consumer that we've taught good stuff to listen to? I mean, do we have to?
But
Can't we bypass the gatekeepers and go straight to
then
the consumer?
monetizing that becomes the issue. I mean, it goes back to how the songwriters, producers, everybody get paid from it. Yeah, anybody can put up a video and do it all the time. They'll steal demos they don't pay musicians for, they don't pay studio for, they'll throw it out on the internet. But how can we keep the ball rolling?
Herb and I have the same problem. We go directly to the consumer free, and we have to monetize.
Right, exactly.
It can be done. I mean, what did we pull in last week? About $50?
Well, that was last 6 months. But to your point, Dan, I tell kids all the time, we're talking to them, this equity that you put in views is fool's gold. Like, I got 18,000 views, or I got 1 million views, and that turned into what?
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you don't know what that turned into, and it's just something that, now there's some ways to do that another way, but your goal is not views, it's what you do with the views and turn that into something.
Yeah.
And they just don't, they stop at the first stage where places like Blackbird Academy and hopefully Pensado's place and Kevin Becka and the great teachers there, once we start to mentor people and teach people and go, wait, there's another way, so that we can take what we believe is take those forces, find a way to monetize it and turn it into a business and so on and so forth, and then do it to protect the music and keep the craft high. Not just get that and not care about anything else, just prostitute all the rest of the process. That doesn't make sense to me. So some ways that's exciting, but you have to have patience and the ability to stand around and be there. And not everybody can afford to just wait to do it. So it's, like we're in an industrial sort of revolution shift.
We are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It can work because television, everybody said that the recording of the Betamax would ruin television.
Yeah.
But advertising dollars can be, you don't have to buy everything. It all can work.
It can.
It's just how do you monetize it?
Well,
Yeah.
listen, and we'll talk about this off camera. from year 1 to year 2 to year 2 3/4 of this show, the difference in those jumps in terms of revenue that has come into there are dramatic. But we had to take the hit the first year and a half to wait to sort of figure it out and go there. And once you do that, you can't look. Vintage King has been our sponsor for 3 years. That's a force in this town, or that's a presence in this town. And they're signing up again, and so it brings more and more people. And John and I spent my first introduction to John McBride. I was sitting in the parking lot of Kentucky Horse Park because my horse trainer girlfriend was just going to go to those. She didn't care about my family reunion. She didn't care about my high school. She's going to go see her some horses. So John and I spent 2 minutes on the dinner and 40 minutes on the education, right? And that opportunity in that space was to say, well, things are changing, and if we can teach you how to do this, God, what kind of forces could we put together that figure this out? And then it gives folks who have been bottlenecked an opportunity to get that music out and to not have gatekeepers keep it. So that's kind of our hope, that if we just keep sort of pulling folks together, we can do that. Then the copyright, creators and content creators, they can get paid fair, and Melonie can, have singers back. They can do something to make a living. I'm with you, Mel.
Singer.
Listen, I'm trying to end this dinner to go see you live, so
Good.
just so that you know that.
Y'all could.
John, from a session, one of the things I love about Nashville is that the session guy can make a living here. That's not true on some of the other coasts.
This session guy.
Okay, got it. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's work to be had, and it's like John said, bands come together. They have, we're all playing at the same time, and the interaction between guys and the producer and the artist, it makes a better record. And it's not always possible to do that, and a lot of times I overdub on stuff, build a record from scratch. But here's the place where live music still exists. I mean, we consider it live
With
'cause
great
we're playing it
players.
live.
Yeah.
With great players.
With great players.
And also structure. Like you do 3-hour sessions, is that what it is? You can get several in a day, and
Yeah.
you guys get home at
10 to
night to be
6.
with your families and do other
Yeah,
kinds.
they're all, in Nashville, it's all 10 to 6.
There you go.
Yeah, and I can't think of one session player who doesn't treat every song they play on like it's their song. That's because, I love music, and I want to hear the best it can be, so we're all trying.
Now, where is that? Ed, from your perspective, that tradition, that's something that's got to stay, doesn't it?
Well, like John said, the last bastion is right here of
Yeah.
live recording.
Yeah.
And not that great music can't be made other ways, and is in other markets, and now is in basements and bedrooms and that kind of thing. But that's why so many of the great players have come down. Some from New York, a lot from L.A., from Atlanta, because this is where you got, a collection of players. You count it off, bam, you get instant gratification, and you also get it's the art of instant ensemble.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
Things happen. The magic.
They're playing.
It's awesome.
I hear what you're doing. That tells me where I'm
Right.
going, and I like what. And then you add in, and all of a sudden,
They listen to each other.
People will hear somebody playing something and back up.
Yeah.
They won't, like play over.
The respect the space.
yeah, we
It's a
respect
community,
each other.
just like this, like Nashville's community. They work together and
Family.
they listen to
But-
each other.
One thing that concerns me, Herb, having come through all the ranks, is I worry we really don't have the farm teams we used to. I mean, when I moved here 20 years ago, and was playing $15 a song demos and learning at the expense of these poor songwriters that we were butchering their songs on, it seems like these days you're seeing, John and Eddie Bears and whoever else on demo, where 20 years ago you never saw these guys play it. So it seems like we're missing that farm team element of playing on 1,000 demos and learning how to react and learning how to play off of each other. That's not happening. Where the younger guys are in their bedroom just stacking away. They're not in a room with with 7 other guys,
and
having to play. You know,
and older guys saying, "Dude, don't do that."
Yeah,
That's
veterans mentoring.
You know, and not meaning it mean, but just saying,
teaching.
"Hey, you know."
Well, see, that's an interesting space for us to be thinking about. You know, it's one thing about teaching them technical things and mixing and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they need to learn how to play music and be in ensembles and learn how to do session things. And like John needs more to think
The
about.
10,000 hour concept works.
It does.
And there's a reason.
Right, and I'm just worried that there's not 25-year-olds playing, sitting in studios for 10,000 hours. Like John, I mean, 10,000 was by 1985 for him.
Sure.
You know? It was like, I mean, he started when he was 2. I mean, it's crazy. But, you know, the guys that are at his level of players have been playing so many sessions and so many hours that these days those opportunities aren't there. The publishing when I came to town, EMI had 125 writers that all did a session a month.
Wow.
And so that was one publisher.
Wow.
Now how many do they have?
Yeah.
Right.
That many.
Wow.
So,
That's the downward economic pressure.
that's you
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
and
That we're
that
experiencing.
you know, it's just the opportunity to grow and to learn the craft. I'm worried about it. You know.
As an outsider, is that a function of the economy? Is that
Oh,
a
yeah.
paradigm
Yeah,
shift?
that's downward
1,000%.
economic pressure.
Economy?
Yeah.
That's-
I'd like to point something out, though, that there's a whole other society going on here of young people who are doing recordings and all around town in home studios and small places. That's not the traditional session thing. That is just as viable and making great music. And they're ready, and they're coming up and making cool rock, alternative country records. There's still, I mean, the great world that you guys are talking about has fostered another world that's right behind it right now, and it's
Hey,
killing.
Justin, from your perspective, and let's use the term Nashville to mean the community, comfortable with this, you guys call it the last bastion of live recording, and it's attracted guys like Jack White, it's attracted and produced Paramore, Kings of Leon, all these non-traditional Nashville groups. Does that fit anywhere in the grand scheme of things here in Nashville, or is that something that's not going to be
community
accepted?
supports that because the studios know how to record live music,
Right.
and the assistants and everyone in the town is really familiar with it, and they're the best in the world at it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
even if they just meet somebody in a bar, the community interacts enough that just the knowledge base here is vastly superior to everywhere else.
Well, like to John's credit, Blackbird has attracted Kid Rock. He's attracted all sorts of projects that are non-traditional Nashville type projects. Does that trouble anyone? Or is that
That's what we want.
Yeah, the last time I was in this
Bring
room
them
was with
on.
all the guys from Muscle Shoals Sound, Jimmy
right.
Johnson and Steve Melton.
Right.
Let's
When
talk
we were-
about bringing it all home.
When we were putting it together, I was talking to somebody, a pretty significant guy in town, and he said, look, there's a bunch of rock guys here who moved here from other places, and they're bringing kind of that sensibility to it, but they shifted to become part of the community, and so they're doing all kinds of things which are pushing the envelope.
Exactly.
I think it's
That's
a
exactly what we're
fusion.
talking about.
It's a fusion. It's new stuff.
Everything is changing. There's
Yeah.
there's going to be the traditionalist thing, but what's happened is so badass that it's brought all these other people into it, and it's creating a whole new.
Can
scene.
it coexist, though?
That's
is my
right,
question.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is. I think.
Cheryl
It's
Crow's a
spawning
country
new
singer.
stuff.
Right. So speaking of that, because you guys have been so gracious with your time, we got a group of people upstairs who want to do it. Can we just go around the room and give me a sense of the future of your community and of country? Ed, we'll start with you and just go around the table.
Because there is so much bedroom recording, basement recording, what it allows is the young genius that never had a chance to get into a studio, never had a chance to, couldn't afford to even knock on the door, now can make great music. It may be raw, but it may be the next genius writing the music, and that's something that's exciting, and I'm seeing more of that too. In addition to the traditional way that has been a tradition here with players and count it off and bam, instant record, where there's room for both, and I'm excited about that.
Stephanie and John?
Well, I work in PR, so I'm just here to fix your mistakes.
That she will do.
Yes.
Where were you when I moved here?
She's available now.
I mean, I do about half of my work at my house. Y'all have been there.
Absolutely.
And I get
Beautiful.
a guy from England comes in, he wants to do country music, but it's all about beats. I mean,
Yeah.
and it works. He gets You know, he's doing it. And then I'll get some girl from Belmont come in. You know, she's 20 years old. She wants to be Taylor Swift. They couldn't afford to do what I do at my house in a big studio.
Right.
So I love the future.
Oh, I think it's great. Danny.
I think that the brilliance that is here will expand. I think that they're right that there's a change getting ready to happen. I think some of the old guard's going to move out and allow room for the younger people to step in and really push the format and get the brilliance that is here out, to the masses.
That's fantastic. Rodney?
I think something I do as a songwriter that kind of incorporates the old school and the new school is, which we've been talking about, home studios, and I write 4 or 5 days a week, and a lot of the time it's with the guy who's building a track, and I'll take the track that we do in the writing room, and I'll go into the studio with Dan and John, and I'll have the old school Nashville session guys add to that, and I think that's a big part of the success I've had as a songwriter is what we get to present to the artist is a little combination of both of those things. So
great point. Steve?
Good point. Nashville's is just the most incredible talent pool in terms of creative writers and musicians in the world at this point. And I think the future can only be more and more brilliant. I do think we need to readjust the way the distribution of the creative dollar. I think downward economic pressure is not been a positive thing, and I think we need to readjust how things work in the digital world because people love music and we make music.
Buddy?
I'm just going to keep trying to do what I do the best that I can do it. Keep looking for the best songs. Keep trying to write as good a song as I can write, and I'm still waiting to go around that curve and find that kid that sounds like George Jones.
That's right.
But looks like Hunter Hank.
Melonie.
Or Keith Urban.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I say Keith Urban.
There we go.
I really I hope that I can continue to be a part of the business, and I hope everybody that has been in this town and has the love for it that I do. It's being country is not a word. It's not about trucks or dirt, or it's who we are.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I just want to hopefully pass that on to at least one youngin' that's coming up through. Just one.
You will.
I'll be making a difference.
Yeah, you will. Tony?
I think the future is a little brighter if it doesn't focus, like Mel was saying, just on dirt roads or country. And I think it needs to expand and embrace Jack White and Kings of Leon and a lot of different genres. And just grow the town, not just as a traditional country town, but just as a music town, just as a live music town. And I'd love to see that.
That's major. Scoop?
I think I'm just going to share 2 proverbs from mentors of Laura and say, Socrates said that wisdom is when knowledge and experience get together. And there's a lot of wisdom here on every side. And Confucius, who said, tell me and I'll listen, teach me and I'll learn, but show me and I'll understand. And pay it forward. I've learned so much from so many people in this room, be it listening to your records or whatever. My ex-girlfriend told me I needed to listen better, and I said, damn, I'm a sound guy. All I do is listen.
That's why she's your ex.
Really is But really pay it forward. My best teachers, my best friends, the people that have inspired and shaped and made me are the people I listen to, and that took the time to sit down and go, all right, here's what happens when you drive that head amp hard.
Yeah.
Or turn it down, it's too loud.
Yeah.
All kinds of just sweet wisdom paid forward when you listen.
Absolutely. Justin Niebank.
How do you follow that?
I'm not sure you do.
One thing that no one's talking about tonight is that when I got into music and I first became addicted to music when I was a kid, was innovation was the key to commerciality. And everyone now has kind of gotten away from that, and that to me is the future. Everyone's gotten their chops together. Everyone knows how to write the same song over and over and over again and make it sound like everybody else's record. And everyone's working at an incredibly high level, but now is the time for innovation.
Fabulous.
Good advice.
Dave?
Amen to that.
I have the privilege to grow up in Nashville, and I live in LA as well, and got to record all over the place. And I'm just glad that Nashville, like we were talking about earlier, is getting its due on the world stage as far as the credibility, because it always took a back step to the coast music, and there's great music all over the place, but Nashville is getting its due right now, and it's a good time to be part of that, and I'm proud of that.
Martina, how you feel about things?
Well, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else to make music. I mean, we have the best songwriters, the best musicians, the best engineers, producers in the world, I think. And it's always been it was my dream to come here when I was a little girl, and it's always been, my dream place to be. And it's exciting for me to see people that do, through the studio, I see people come into Nashville from all over the world and experience what we have here. And they're just blown away by it. I'm making a record with Don Was, who's recorded everywhere with everybody.
Yeah.
And we did a session the other night, and, it was a last minute thing. I called a bunch of musicians together, and he was just like, this is amazing.
Unbelievable.
And, so it's a really, really special thing we have here.
Yeah.
And I know that we all know that.
Yeah. John?
I'll tell you what I love. Dr. Luke came in here 6 or 8 months ago, spent a week here doing a Kesha record, or working on a Kesha record.
Sure.
We did a drum overdub, we did some guitar overdubs, a mando overdub. I say we because I ended up engineering, because his 6 or 8 team members had never mic'd a drum kit. I love it. They did more recording analog in 1 week than they've done in the previous 5 years. They told me.
Unreal.
I love that.
Unreal.
And I love seeing some real instruments going on some pop records. I was going to say something about the school. I guess the point I should make is this. I don't care if the future of recording is in a studio like Blackbird, or if it's in a bedroom, or if it's in a warehouse, whatever. I don't care. I know that the students that we have taken in are going to become better human beings, and they're going to be better at recording no matter where it is in the future than they would have been had they not come to this school or gone to a different school. I feel like our program is as good as it gets. I hope I'm right. That's our goal. We're very passionate. And getting back to one other thing you said earlier, talking about passion.
Yeah.
I feel like part of the reason Blackbird is successful is because we are passionate. You guys are passionate about what you do. Passion is like a magnet. Because most people don't have passion in their lives, or not enough. And they're drawn to it. So if someone is passionate about something, people, I don't know if it's a curiosity factor or what, but they want to be around that.
Absolutely.
And there's something great about it.
Absolutely.
And passion just brings more passion.
It's a magnet. Right?
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you guys and us, and that we've all gotten together, because I think together we could make a miracle happen. That's what I'm hoping.
Kevin, what about you?
I think it's a great time to be alive in Nashville. I think, I moved to Los Angeles in 1978, and I stayed there for a long time, for 14 years. And to me, that era was kind of the renaissance of music in Los Angeles and in the nation. And I think that's where Nashville is right now. And I see the same patterns happening, and the same talent pool, and the same kind of drive towards creativity and music, and now education, And I think we are at the edge of what's going to come, and I think we're going to figure it all out, and it's going to be a great thing.
We usually end the shows by, I'll say, Dave, take it home. Before we do that, in the backdrop of this dinner, which again, Chef Matt in flight has been nice enough to serve to us, is a cover of Mix magazine, where for the first time, even though there's a few celebrities in that picture, it is about Mentor You and the Blackbird Academy, and the opportunity for the success of Blackbird Studios and the power of the McBride name and the vision that they have and John's staff has, to then transfer that to education and keep that bar high and set that standard and move forward, for us is one of the most exciting things that we can see, because instead of us theorizing about that, we can do something about it. And partly why we are just enamored of all you people. It's just an amazing thing that you care so much, that your craftsmanship level is so high, that the passion starts first, the music counts first, and then everything comes after that, that you would honor us by coming to this table. Is Pensado's Place a good thing? Should we continue it?
Yeah.
Good. That. Of course, Dave said no.
I got a request while you're in tonight.
Sure.
So you know you better panic.
Yeah, all right. Just hit you with the plate.
My dear friend requested more George Jones. I was a young Spanish kid in South Florida. All I ever heard was the music from South Florida, which was Cuban. Great music, just an incredible thing. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia as a young man. I flipped on WSB TV, Porter Wagner show, and I saw the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life, a teenage Dolly Parton. You can go for George Jones. I'm begging the group find another Dolly Parton.
A number of people made this thing possible. Vintage King made it possible. Recording Connection, Studio 2 out of Washington, D.C., and Audio Technica came together to make sure they could finance us being able to come down here and do what we need to do. To the ridiculously awesome staff at Blackbird Studios and Blackbird Academy. Scott Phillips from the day has been just a mover and shaker and make things happen on our behalf. And it runs up and down the chain in terms of quality, both in the Academy and the studio. Blair Minges, Karma Banstra, Mark Rubel, Kevin Becka, Leanne Carlin, Tony Cottrell, Rich Hansen, Rolf Zweep, Mike Simmons, Alan Ditto, Richard Ely, Nick Sacheret. You all know John McBride. We've gotten to know John McBride. I can't tell him I'm sort of in awe of him because he sort of respects me. And John, I'm telling you right now, we are going to kick some ass together. I'm telling you right now. If you're into kicking some ass,
I'll bet on that.
We're going to kick some ass together. We thank you so much for your graciousness.
Thank you.
Martina, for having us.
Martina,
Unbelievable.
thank you.
To our tireless and fearless co-producer, Stephanie Spitfire Willis, we are indebted to you. Please give her a round of applause.
Are you gonna make me do it?
Yes, yeah.
He's gonna make me do it. Ow! Okay. No, I want to thank you guys personally. I know that we've become a family and a team, and we've worked really hard to make these past few days happen. I never thought that an email, just writing you to say how much John and I love your show and how we would love for you to come to our city and show Nashville as we know and love it. But I think that this panel, this group of people have really represented Nashville in the best possible light. And I couldn't be happier with the turnout. So I personally want to thank all of you for saying yes and being here. And of course, to you guys and the incredible crew for coming out here and making this happen. So thank you so much to
Thank you
all
for
of
having
you.
us. Thank you for having us. I really think to Nashville itself, for this city of heart and big shoulders. And I have literally run around this town for 4 days and asked all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life, what do they like about Nashville? And it's always the same thing. It didn't matter what color, what gender, whatever. People are nice here. They're respectful here. You got to be that. If you're not that, you stand out and they'll get you the hell out of town. And I like that shit too, to be honest with you. So thank you for having some boys from LA to come in here. We're going to be back a lot. And with that, Dave, take us home.
Well, back in the day, my friend Ed, my friend Paul Davis, I was contemplating on, I knew I had to get out of Atlanta, but I didn't know where to go. So I'm thinking, well, I'll go to London. I went to London, didn't quite work out. Worked for Trevor Horn for a while. And so then I thought, well, that leaves New York, Nashville, and LA. I hate snow. So I'm thinking, well, I might go to Nashville. And I kind of had the feeling that you had to be an insider to make it in Nashville. I kind of felt like maybe I couldn't do it. You know, maybe I wouldn't fit in. Maybe they wouldn't like me. Maybe it'd take too long. So I went to LA. I wish I'd have come here. I was talking with Dave Huff and with Ed, and I'm at a point in my life and career where you might see me in a few years here. I love this place. And thank you so much for accepting me.
Thank you, everybody. Round of applause to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Be sure to tune in next week for a very special opportunity and announcement from the Blackbird Academy and Pensado's Place.